But let's be real for a second. Microsoft and Xbox have lost their way a little with the Xbox One. Apart from backward compatibility, which admittedly is very impressive, I've hardly even turned on my Xbox One in months. To me, Microsoft and Xbox seem more interested in the technology side and less about the games. 120Hz on a console is great, but when most games can't even achieve 30 frames per second, then what's the point? In the past, Microsoft was always about the games first, taking risks and breaking the rules. And somewhere along the way, Microsoft lost their focus on what makes the Xbox brand so special. Now you guys know, I've been a huge Xbox fanboy since the beginning, all the way back to 2001. But what's interesting is how many great franchises that are dormant that Microsoft are sitting on that they could easily revive for the Xbox One and beyond. And in my opinion, the time is now for Microsoft to dig up their back catalogue of games and start releasing updates to some of those classic games that they originally released over 15 years ago for the original Xbox. With the Xbox Original and the Xbox 360, there are a lot of exclusive games that Microsoft did bring out for those consoles, more than people think. When you think about the Xbox and the Xbox 360, a lot of people think, well, the PS2 and the PS3 was really the main consoles at the time, and there wasn't really many exclusives that Microsoft had announced except for Gears of War, Forza, and Fable. Oh, and I almost forgot, a little franchise known as Halo. But that's really not true. There were so many more exclusive titles that did come out for both those systems, and we're going to look at 8 original Xbox titles that came out between 2002 and 2005 that, in my opinion, Microsoft absolutely needs to take a look at and unearth and release for the Xbox One. Let's go ahead and take a look. Jet Set Radio Future was released by Sega for the original Xbox in March of 2002 and was the sequel to 2000's Jet Set Radio on the Sega Dreamcast. And it was a part of the strategic alliance that Sega and Microsoft had in place for an 11-title exclusive deal to bring Sega titles to the original Xbox. In Jet Set Radio Future, you play as an unnamed gang member in the GGs and travel around a futuristic Tokyo known as Tokyo To, covering up graffiti from rival gangs and avoiding the police. Jet Set Radio Future is known for its excellent gameplay mechanics based on inline skating, cel-shaded graphics, and thumping soundtrack. The game reviews were favourable at the time, and the game has aged extremely well, often making top 100 best game lists of all time, and deservedly so. So I think this franchise is ripe for an update, and hopefully with all the press Microsoft and Sega have had lately, that this is something that we'll see happen. Before DICE was making Battlefield games for EA, they were making racing games for the original Xbox, and MIDTOWN Madness 3 was one of the best. As the sequel to the PC-only MIDTOWN Madness 1 and 2, the franchise is an open-world racing game set in a virtual city. The first game was based in Chicago and came complete with landmarks of that famous city. It even supported multiplayer via LAN, internet or serial cable. MIDTOWN Madness 3 was an Xbox-only exclusive that had Paris and Washington DC as the worlds that you could drive in. It also had a career mode with lots of missions to choose from. The game also supported online multiplayer via Xbox Live, and that was a ton of fun. I recall the Hunter mode, where one player would start out as a police car, and if you were tagged by that car, you would join the police team and have to tag the remaining players. The winner then would be the ones that weren't tagged by cop cars. I must have spent days playing that particular mode, and I can't say that I've seen an online mode like that in any racing game since. MIDTOWN Madness 3 was superseded by games like Burnout and Need for Speed as they became more open world, but with the innovation that MIDTOWN Madness 3 had back in the early 2000s, I'd love to see a sequel to the original Xbox game with 4K and HDR support. MechWarrior is a franchise that has been around since forever. Set in the BattleTech universe, the first game was released in 1989 on MS-DOS. It gave the player the chance to pilot a battle mech and blow stuff up. MechAssault 1 and 2 came out as exclusives on the original Xbox, took that same formula and made it more arcade and fun, and it became very popular, with the first game selling 750,000 copies. MechAssault 1 was one of the first games to fully support Xbox Live and took advantage of features such as voice chat, matchmaking, and epic online battles. Practically anything in that game could be blown up. System Link was fantastic with up to 7 other players, and on the single player side, both MechAssault 1 and 2 come with excellent campaigns. Microsoft still owns the rights to MechAssault, and with the success we've seen of Titanfall in recent years, MechAssault 3 needs to happen. One of the most underrated games for the original Xbox is Breakdown. Released by Namco in 2004, it's a first-person action game based in the sci-fi universe. You play as Derek, waking up in a room with no memory of who you are and how you ended there. The story admittedly starts out a little cliche, but there are 1 or 2 plot twists in the game that keep it interesting, and as the story builds, it definitely grows on you. And by the end of the game, you wish there was more. While there are indeed weapons in this game such as pistols and machine guns, the majority of fighting you do is hand to hand. At first glance this may put you off, but the execution is fantastic. There's so many cool scripted sequences too, and as you progress you uncover power-ups for more beefier attacks. This is one of those games that didn't review very well back in 2004 with 6s and 7s across the board. But yes, this game is fun as hell. It still feels fresh today, so how about it, Microsoft and Namco? Let's bring this game back to life. A sequel would be fantastic, and many fans of the original would definitely love to see it. OTOGI 1 and 2 were released in 2002 and 2003 by Sega, and were developed by none other than From Software. Yep, the same company who makes the Dark Souls games. In OTOGI, you play as Reiko Minamoto, and your mission is simple: banish the worlds of all demons and restore order to the human world. OTOGI 1 and 2 are stylish hack-and-slash action games that were Xbox exclusives. The game boasts many stages. The first OTOGI game has about 30 stages to play, and much of the environment is destructible. In short, these games kick serious butt and have aged extremely well. The graphics still look great today. Another OTOGI game is something that needs to happen. Unreal Championship 2 came out in 2005 and it was fun as hell. It added a new dimension at the time to the Quake-style multiplayer genre, with 14 characters to choose from, each with their own abilities, 40 maps to play, and a new melee combat mechanic. Running in third person was a different take on the genre, but it worked well, and I spent hours playing both the single and multiplayer portions of the game. So does the world really need another online shooter? Absolutely it does. I'd love an update to this game running on the latest Unreal Engine with 40 maps and 20 different characters. 40 maps is unheard of these days without paying tons of money in map packs and DLC. So yes, a 4K HDR Unreal Championship 3 would be awesome, and I'd love to see it happen. So I mentioned earlier that DICE were the masters of the racing games, and RALLISPORT Challenge 2 was one of the best going around at the time. Released in 2004, this game has over 90 tracks, 40 cars, 5 different racing types, career mode, multiplayer, and of course Xbox Live was supported with full voice chat capabilities. This game ran at a blistering 60 frames per second, and for me was the best rally racing game on the original Xbox. I was waiting for it to be announced on the Xbox 360, but it never came, and as we know, EA bought DICE and moved on to the Battlefield and Mirror's Edge franchises. But Microsoft still owns the RALLISPORT name, and I'd love to see this franchise revived with an all-new RALLISPORT challenge for the Xbox One X. GUNVALKYRIE is a bit of an odd duck. You either love it or hate it. The game is set in an alternate sci-fi universe where the British Empire rules the entire planet. It's a third-person twitch shooter that is an unusual control system that definitely takes some getting used to. As you progress through the game's 10 levels, you can power up your arsenal. This also means staying airborne for longer periods of time, which is essential to beat the game. GUNVALKYRIE is one of those games that came out onto the scene with little to no hype at all, and it wasn't really ever talked about again. There's much to like about the game, the story and the gameplay is excellent, and there's so much untapped potential here. I definitely sit in the I love this game camp, and a modern sequel to this game would be awesome. Well guys, that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Do you agree with my list of 8 original Xbox games? Was there something that I missed? Is this just some nostalgia and I'm wearing my rose-tinted glasses? Do you want to see some franchises come back and be unearthed? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested in your thoughts. As always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.
Medium right, caution, exposure.